I still have no idea what I'm titling this video. Like you guys know what I'm titling it, but I have no fucking clue what I'm titling this video. It's just like Dre. Like let's talk about Dr. Dre. Let's talk about all the music this man has ever made. Let's talk about how amazing it is. Dre has 3 albums, and since we just had the halftime show a week ago, I kind of wanted to make a video talking about them. This was not supposed to come out a week after the halftime show. This was supposed to come out the day of the halftime show. I just didn't get to it, and I had a really busy week. But now I'm finally here, and I'm like, you know what? I'm bored. Let's talk about Dre's catalog. To me, I'm gonna only count 3 Dre albums. There's some other things you could kind of throw in there, like Aftermath or Death Row records that have come out. You could possibly throw the GTA Contract soundtrack in there. I'm just going to talk about Chronic, 2001, and Compton, because those are the 3 studio albums in my book. Dre is probably going to come out with a new album in the next couple months. I am hyped as fuck. So let's talk about his 3 main studio albums. I'm going to give a bit of backstory. It's going to kind of be 3 individual reviews because I recorded this video once and I did end up talking about all 3 albums for a good amount of time. So we'll see how this video goes. I don't even know what I'm going to title it, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, let's go back in time. Let's go back in time to 1988. So 1988, you probably know the whole story. If you're familiar enough with hip hop, you know, Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Yella, and MC Ren assembled their group NWA. They start working together. They do the NWA and the Posse project, which gets some attention. You get Boys in the Hood, which is considered the first gangster rap song, at least in mainstream LA. And then, I'm going to move my chair a little closer. Then about, I don't know, what it would have been, like a year or 2 later, they bring out this record. You'll know it. It's right on my wall right there. Straight Outta Compton. Straight Outta Compton comes out. It's controversial as fuck, but it basically just says, this is, you know, gangster rap. This is gangster rap in LA. This is Compton. This is where we're at. Basically made Compton, at least on the map in hip hop terms, and also brought out the phrase, fuck the police. So NWA's impact is instant. It's like, this is where gangster rap comes from. You know, pretty much any other rapper gangster rap's been a thing before NWA. We can't deny that. Like, there was guys who were doing that before it. But to the capacity that NWA was doing it, to the popularity NWA was doing it, not really. And also on that note, pretty much anybody who did gangster rap after NWA was at some degree influenced by NWA. Not only that, NWA brought up artists who would basically just conquer hip hop the next decade. Really, MC Ren did nothing. Yella continued to produce, and Eazy-E, unfortunately, would have had a massive career. He just passed away too early. Ice Cube did go on to have an insanely successful career, released multiple studio albums on his own, and Dre did too. But when Ice Cube went on and did his own stuff, it ended up being also really popular after he left NWA. NWA kind of saw, you know, fuck that guy, you know, he's kind of betrayed us. So they dissed him on their second album, which not nearly as good as Straight Outta Compton. Bad choice, because Ice Cube was like, fuck that. He records No Vaseline, kind of decimates NWA, and then through some falling outs with the label as well, NWA splits up as a group. Dre joins Death Row with Suge Knight. And Death Row basically is kind of the East Coast hip-hop label, because Suge Knight is the manager of Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Tupac. He's the manager of the 3 kings of the West Coast at the time. There are other people that come in later, but Death Row, that was the thing at the time. Dre brings out the album The Chronic under Death Row, and it's probably one of the most influential hip-hop records ever. The album pretty much started G-Funk, and it's brought up Snoop Dogg. It's just one of the most iconic hip-hop records of all time. I also have it on my wall right there. When we're talking about The Chronic, though, this album also provides one of the most iconic openings ever, which I can't say it. I'm going to have a lot of times in this video, though, where I'm just going to have to admit the N-word, because obviously I'm not going to fucking say it, but it's there. It's the intro to this album is very iconic. This is dedicated to the blank that have been here since day one. Then you hear the clank, welcome to Death Row. That's how this album opens. And it basically starts out... I kind of want to make this not a history lesson anymore. I kind of want to make this, I just kind of want to give backstory. Now we're into the album itself. We start with Fuck with Dre Day, which is probably one of the best diss tracks ever. It's not like Ether or Hit 'Em Up, but it's a really good diss track, and it's a great opening to the album. And I feel like, I can't be the only one who says this. Is this kind of the album that started the idea of opening your album with the diss track, or at least making it very beginning of that album? Because Biggie would go to do that with Kick in the Door, not the title, not the opening track, third track on the album after Somebody's Gotta Die, Hypnotize, and then it's fucking Kick in the Door. But this album starts with just fuck with Dread out the gates, you know. Fuck anybody who's been questioning us. Eazy-E, Tim Dog. When he dissed Eazy-E, though, he got himself in some shit because Eazy-E eventually came out with a mixtape or an EP that was kind of targeted at Dre. It's not really a diss EP like some people see it is. It is kind of, but it only has like 3 diss tracks on it, maybe 2. And most of it's just other Eazy-E stuff that was either out at the time or was recorded at the time. The big thing on there is Real Motherfucking G's, which is just the decimating diss track that is much better than Fuck with Dre Day, but did not get the attention of Fuck with Dre Day. And unfortunately, he eventually passed away the same year that Real Motherfucking G's came out. But also Tim Dog, he disses Tim Dog, which the funniest thing about Tim Dog is, I'm sorry, Tim Dog did not have a good diss track, and I know people are going to disagree with me on that, but Tim Dog's diss track is literally called Fuck Compton. He's just dissing the entire city of Compton. He's not dissing NWA, he's just dissing Compton. It's not even like an effective diss track beyond that. Fuck with Dre, though, just disses it all. It's iconic as fuck. It starts the bow wow wow yippee yo yippee yay, Snoop Doggy Dogg's in the motherfucking house. It's actually kind of the first mainstream Snoop Dogg verse too. Let Me Ride is another classic. And basically, if you do really listen to this album, it's kind of a Snoop Dogg album too. Like, he's kind of there for everything. He at least vocalizes for most tracks here. Let Me Ride's an iconic track. It's very good. You know, Cruise Around LA style track. You got The Day the Blank Took Over. I'm just going to say blank whenever that word comes up. It's a great track. It's iconic. It has RBX on it, who would later go to work with Eminem. Great track there. Nothing But a G Thing is probably the greatest G-Funk track of all time and probably the greatest song Dre's ever made. That beat is so iconic. That hook is so iconic. The whole thing is so iconic. Yeah. Oh, no. No one knocked on my door. My cat knocked on my door. Oh, my fucking God. Okay, anyway. As we continue going, Nothing But a G Thing is just the most iconic track on this album, and it's just a great track beyond that. Then we got D's Nuts, which I think started D's Nuts. I've never found it before this track. D's Nuts, I believe, started the entire idea of that joke. It's a fucking great track beyond that. Little Ghetto Boy is actually the most underrated track on this album. I actually think it's better than like Let Me Ride. I'd probably take it as like maybe my second favorite. I don't know if I'd take it over Fuck with Dre Day, but I might. It's just a great track. It's just a very emotional, more, centered track. Hey, buddy, stop whining. It's okay. Buddy. He's a wimp. Look at a Boy, though, it's a great track. It's a beautiful, great track. Blank with a Gun is another classic track. If I'm correct, that's the track that opens with him just putting a gun in someone's mouth and saying, "You ever heard of Lucifer? We're about to fucking meet him," which is cold as fuck. Rat-a-tat-tat is a great track. And then pretty much that's where, like, the iconicness of this album ends, which was 9 tracks back to back. Like, seriously, the first 9 tracks, not a single one of them isn't super iconic. But after that, I mean, $20 Stack Pyramid is pretty funny. Lyrical Gangbang, though, High Powered, Stranded on Death Row are all pretty good tracks to me, but they're not the best. One does offer that RBX line, the I Drop Bombs Like Hiroshima. Doctor's Office is a neat little skit where he basically just fucks someone, which this was a thing. This is not weird for the 90s. This was the thing that they did. Dre does this again on 2001. And who else does it? Biggie did it. Biggie's the one that everyone knows did it because he did it on Ready to Die, and it's fucking awful. We got Roach, which is a good outro. Bitches Ain't Shit is a really iconic track, which I heard Snoop Dogg talking about this track the other day, and I thought it was interesting because he's talking about how controversial the track is, and somebody asks him, "Do you regret saying that?" And then he says, "Fuck no." And then they're like, "Wait, why?" And he's like, "That was me in the 90s. Like, that was Snoop Doggy Dogg in the 90s. Am I like that anymore? No, fuck no. But that was Snoop Doggy Dogg. That was what he did." Which, yeah, his name is Snoop Doggy Dogg, by the way. When this album came out, it was Snoop Doggy Dogg. I never liked that. Snoop Dogg is a much better name, but that was his name back then. And Bitches Ain't Shit is a very iconic track. Is it the best on this album? Yeah, no, but it is a really iconic track, and it's, I think, the 4th most played here after Let Me Ride, Fuck with Dre, Ain't Nothing But a G Thing. Classic track, classic album. I'd easily give it like an A+. It's one of the greatest hip-hop records ever. Proves really Dre was just great on his own. Brought up Snoop Dogg, brought up G-Funk. Without this track, hip-hop would not be the fucking same at all. Dre did not come back with a second album, though, for a minute. And there's a few reasons why. I mean, he started producing a lot more. He started becoming a pretty heavy producer in hip-hop. He was bringing up a lot more artists. He was managing part of Death Row. But it got weird for him because he lost a brother in this time period. And on top of that, he lost Tupac. And on top of that, he had a feud with Tupac. Now, he did have California Love mid-decade, and he also had a Aftermath record. But after he left Suge Knight, because Suge Knight was an unstable fuck, he started Aftermath, which is kind of where this album starts out on. I mean, you got all your features, and you got Snoop Dogg on this album a ton of times. But you get Eminem here, which is kind of the big thing that brought him back. I don't know if this is the case, but I'm 90% sure this album Eminem influenced to happen, because the album came out the same year as Slim Shady LP. It's not rare for older artists, when they're bringing up a younger artist, to get really influenced by the younger artist to keep doing music again. I mean, there's a ton of examples of that happening. I personally believe that's part of the reason Compton came out, because Dre heard To Pimp a Butterfly. And I think when you get down to it, that's part of the reason 2001 came out, because of Eminem. This album, though, Eminem is not the main feature. He features on it three different times, I think. Yeah, he got 3 features on here. They're all great. But also, Snoop Dogg is actually on here more than Eminem, weirdly enough. But if you don't know, Dre and Snoop kind of had a feud in the 90s, and they kind of separated out. They came back together for 2001, but weirdly enough, you'd think these two are best friends. Nah. Most of their career, they've actually not really been aligned with one another. It's weird, but for a long time, these two haven't been aligned, which is part of the reason there's a feud with M and Snoop, because Snoop has sometimes felt like Dre replaced him with M. To be fair, Snoop kind of initiated some feuds with them, but that's the stories I've heard. Most of this video is kind of stuff I've researched and heard. It's not all like book-written history. It's just what I know. This album kicks off, though, with The Watcher, and it's one of the greatest openings I know, at least. It's just a really smooth, quiet track that reflects on the past decade. I think it's a really good intro track. We got Fuck You next, which is a pretty good G-Funk track, but I've never liked it nearly as much as I like other tracks on the album. It's nice, it's funky. I just think Devin the Dude could have like a much more interesting hook than this. It's like a really, really lame hook, and it could be a lot cooler. It's not a terrible hook, I'm just not all that crazy about it. Still Dre is fucking Still Dre. It is You good? You good? Or do you want me to keep recording? Huh? I like to get mad at him. Still Dre, though, has the most iconic instrumental in the history of hip-hop. It's that chord has made everybody believe that they can play piano. It's a really, really iconic track, though. We all know Still Dre. I don't even know if I really want to talk about the track. It's just a great song. It's perfectly produced. It just has the smoothest flow to it. It's just a great track of him reflecting on the past 10 years, bringing things back up, being like, yeah, there were feuds. Yeah, there was this. Yeah, there was that. I got Snoop back in my corner. This motherfucking cat won't shut up. It's truly one of the most iconic hip-hop tracks ever, and it's a classic to all degrees. Next, we got Big Egos. Fucking hell, what an underrated track. What an underrated track. It's just so good. That piano melody, that hook from Hitman, the verse from him too. Just a great song. Nobody talks about it, though. We all kind of skim over how good Big Egos is. It is a nice track. Explosive is a classic. Got that Nate Dogg hook. You just have the smoothest weed banger. It's a great track. What's the Difference is a really good track too. Probably one of my favorite hooks in hip hop. One of my favorite beats as well. Exhibit kills that hook. It's just so good. But on top of that, Eminem's verse is just so good. I love it so much. That final line, though, what's the difference between us? We can start at the penis, or we can both scream, I just don't give a fucking see who means it. Fucking hell. Next we got Bar 1, which is there. Lightspeed, which is primarily his favorite track on here. I do fuck with it. I like it. I just don't think it's nearly as enjoyable as other tracks on the album. Forgot About Dre is a great track. You get You get Eminem there. He delivers one of the greatest verses of his whole career there. One of the biggest, most important verses of his career, too. It's a really smooth track that has a really good beats where Dre just kind of reflects on people disrespecting his name. Y'all know Forgot About Dre. The next episode is a classic. It's just one of the best weed bangers ever. I don't even need to talk about it. It started smoke weed every day. Let's see what else we got. Let's Get High is a really good track. It's just a really good banger there. I always love that track actually as a weed banger. Like legitimately, as any track on the album, that track is so fun in that regard. Bitch N is good. I'm not crazy about it. I do like it though. The Car Bomb is a skit. Murder Inc. Murder Inc. Has a really, really good sample flip on it. It takes the Michael Myers theme and flips it. It is really good. He does it so well. What else we got here? What would be a track? What's a track here like I actually really fuck with? The last half of the album's not nearly as good. I do really like Housewife. I think the Corrupt hook. I think it's Corrupt's doing that hook, but it is a really smooth ass hook. A Crite is a good one too. Bang Bang has a really, really cool hook on that one as well. With the bang 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 sample. I don't even know where it comes from. The Message is a really beautiful outro with Mary J. Blige on it that talks about, losing his brother. It's a beautiful way to end the album off on. The whole album itself is quite the classic. It's a great album. The neat thing about 2001 to me is that this album is never talked about. Like, just people do just seem to kind of skip over it. But in terms of if you look at the 90s, this album is so fucking influential in terms of what would come after it. It would bring Dre back into the light. It would kind of bring Eminem to a higher point. It would do so much. It's so looked over for doing. Seriously, like, look, if you ever go to this album, look at the fucking streams this album is pulled. It's huge. Every song is popular. But for some reason, just nobody talks about it. Nobody fucking talks about this album. It is a classic, and it's seriously one of the greatest records of all time, and I will not hesitate to say it's very close to being as good as The Chronic. I give it an A. I really want to buy this one on vinyl, and I don't really know if it's close to an A+. Is it an A+, though? Not quite. But maybe one day it will be, but for now it's not. But it's close as hell. 2001's a classic. So many of my favorite tracks. And seriously, for an album released 23 years ago, it sounds so fucking clean. So yeah, 2001 is a classic, but we all know that. Now let's move on to the seriously overlooked next Dre album. I don't nearly have as much to say about Compton as I do about 2001 and The Chronic, because I don't think it's nearly as good. But whenever people talk about Dre albums, they never talk about Compton. And I don't know why, because it's a fucking badass album. It has such well-done production, so many phenomenal features. It features a lot of Anderson .Paak in it, which I've always really liked. Neatly enough, people have pointed this out and I agree with it. Dre sounds like younger on the album than he did in 2001, and it's kind of weird. It's kind of neat to listen to how his voice evolves, because it doesn't really sound like he's getting older as his career goes on. If we look at this album, though, there's a ton of tracks I really fuck with on here. Genocide has a really, really kind of cool, dark, grimming sound to it. What else do I got? All in a Day's Work has a really fun Anderson .Paak hook on that one. Dark Side Gone, it's a fucking badass song as well. Loose Cannons with Exhibit, Cold 87, Summon Sly Piper. Great way to bring Exhibit back into the picture. Same Without Issues brings Ice Cube back into the picture. Both just kill it with the nostalgia side. With Deep Water has one of the greatest Kendrick features ever. Such a fucking badass feature. One Shot Kill is not actually a Dre song. It's a John Connor song, but it's on the album and it features Snoop Dogg. And it is such a good song. Like, so weirdly good. Like, that Snoop Dogg verse is just murderous. It is murderous. He is just ready to tear the fucking beat up. And John Connor kills it too to create a really just fucking energetic, great rock rap song. Weirdly enough, no one talks about it though. It's a great song though. We got Just Another Day with The Game, which neatly enough is on the documentary too, but it's not the same song. There's a song on the documentary too called Just Another Day that is just a completely different song. And the funny part about it is that this album came out 2 months before the documentary too. Why? What? I fucking love The Game, and I love this song. It was my first, I think, encounter with The Game, actually. For the Love of Money has a really cool sample on it. Jill Scott is phenomenal on that track. What else did I say? Satisfaction with Snoop Dogg is really nice as well. Medicine Man with Eminem is probably the biggest song. Actually, it's not even close to the biggest song on this album. Just Another Day is bigger. Just Another Day is the biggest song on the fucking album. Wait, what? Oh, Talking to My Diary's actually the second biggest, but that's fucking weird. Why? Whatever. I don't even say Game's more popular than Dre. Whatever. Medicine Man is an incredible track. I mean, it was my intro to Anderson .Paak. Actually, that was the first track I heard him on. Because I used to be really into Eminem. That was kind of all I listened to. And then I heard this track. Dre has a really, really energetic, good verse. Anderson .Paak is a really brief verse, but it's really cool. Candace Pillay has a really dark but menacing hook. And then Eminem comes in, and it's brutal. It is a vicious ass verse. He starts it out with just this intro where he's kind of building up to it. Once the drums like kick in hard, that bass comes in. Eminem rarely has rapped this hard. Like, he raps his fucking ass off. You think, you know, that the verses on I Need a Doctor are vicious. Nah. The Medicine Man verse is fucking insane. It's one of the best verses he's ever done. Talking to My Diary is the best track on this album. I think it's one of the best Dre tracks, actually. It's a really beautiful reflection where he talks about, like, everybody's lost in how many years? It would have been 25 years, I think. 25 years of, like, rapping when this album came out. And it's a really cool reflection on his whole career. And it made me think, once I heard this album, that it would be a retirement album. It's not, actually. He's got a new one coming, but Compton is a really good album, and especially Talking to My Diary. I do want to add, though, one of the neat things about this album is the 16-year gap. Because there wasn't supposed to be a 16-year gap. Man was going to bring out Detox in 2010. He teased some singles for it. He gave us Kush, which is really one of my favorite weed bangers. He gave us I Need a Doctor, another great track. And then he just didn't drop it. And his reasoning has always been actually kind of respectful, because he basically just said, yeah, I didn't think it was good enough. And you might think to yourself, really, that's respectful to you? Yeah, it does, because I like the fact that he looked at it and he thought, okay, would I rather ruin my catalog but make some money, get this album finally out, or would I rather just not drop it and let people, you know, just not do it? And I chose the latter, and that's really nice. Now, on the alternative, Dre's a perfectionist, and Detox is actually probably a pretty great album. But, I mean, to his perspective, it wasn't good, and I guess to him, he's like, hey, I don't really want to get that out. So he took a break, brought up Kendrick in 2012 and 2015. Kendrick does Butterfly. Dre does Compton, and I don't know if he has any. Does he have time? I need to look up the documentary too, because he held to the documentary too. Whatever. Back to the actual thing. Compton is one of the greatest records of its year. It's a fantastic album. Is it one of the best ever? Nah, but it's truly a strong album. Great addition to the Dre catalog, and if it was the retirement album, I would have been very satisfied. I don't think it is, but Compton is a classic. Killed it on that album, and yeah, it's not nearly as popular as the other two, but I wish people talked about it more because it is a really solid project. What do you guys think on all of this? Let me know in the comment section below. I don't have anything else to say. Dre's has an amazing catalog. You know, my ranking is probably Compton, 2001, The Chronic. Yeah, his albums just kind of get worse as they go, but not to like a bad degree. He's just a great producer, artist. Dre's, you know, he's fucking Dr. Dre, man. What do you got to say to him? I'm going to do another vinyl video soon. I don't know if I'm going to do it today, though. I kind of don't think it's really worth it today, but we'll do it soon. Because I was going to do it when I got food, because I ordered that one, and it has been like 2 months, and it never came in, so I'm just going to do the video now. See you guys next time. Peace out. What is your Dre ranking? See you guys next time. Bye.